So tell me about books that you have read, if you say you have an interest in something, I would expect you to have read about it. Hi, my name is Yasmin Sarwar, and I'm the Chief Education Officer at Oxford International College. I have founded and led the 2 top schools in the UK in terms of A-level results consecutively since 2010. No one else in the history of British education has ever achieved that. I also take great pride in our university destinations. For the last 10 years, my team and I have sent thousands of students for competitive courses at top universities, which has less than 10% acceptance rate. At OIC Oxford, we've achieved phenomenal results, through our sixth form education. Phenomenal results, both in terms of A-level results, but also in terms of university destination. And to be able to do that in just 2 years, considering the constraints of time, imagine what we can achieve in 5 years when students come to us from year 9. OIC Brighton, our assessments are the same as OIC Oxford for the year 12 students. Of course, for year 9 and year 10, the assessments differ because they are younger students. We are looking for, as I said, the most important thing is the personality as well as the academic ability. We're looking at 3 things: potential, teachable factor, and ability. And I think for year 9 and for year 10 students, we're really looking at potential and teachable factor, because that is very important to us. As I said to you before, we have achieved phenomenal results in 2 years. Consider what we can achieve in 5 years. If we're given 5 years to achieve those phenomenal results, not only we can focus on the academics and the career planning, but we can really enrich the students' education, and ensure that they can have both. These things don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can be an all-rounded student. You can be somebody who's really enriched your mind and go to top universities. They do not have to be mutually exclusive. So this is why starting earlier, starting when they're younger, means we have that time to be able to stretch them, able to provide them that strategy. Students will have more work experience opportunities. They will have more wider reading opportunities. They will have more opportunities for competitions and projects. All these things that we do at Supercurricular at sixth form, they will have more of that if they start earlier. And that is what we're looking at. So really, when you ask me about the assessment process, we are looking for quality students. We are looking for top students. But we are looking at the teachable factor, the potential, and we're looking at their ability. And the 2 factors that we're looking for year 9 and year 10 are teachable qualities and potential. That's very important to us. I think interview is something they should prepare not just to get into a school, but you prepare interview for life, right? Because you're always going to be constantly, you have to present, you have to talk, you have to articulate, you have to reflect. So these are again really key skills, right? The key skills for life, not just for, getting into a school or getting to university. So I think interview, the most important thing is try to obviously understand yourself. Think about normal questions. For example, the obvious ones: why are you thinking of coming to the school? What's your strength, your weaknesses? What do you enjoy? And then develop your answers. You must have a developed answer. Bring in examples of the things that you have done. I remember in your office in Hong Kong, I was talking to a boy who likes writing creative writing, stories. And he talked to me about the stories he has written, So he gave me examples of those stories. And that is what I'm interested in. I'm interested to know about the student's interest. So he talked to me about poems. He likes poetry. And I was like, wow, this is very interesting. So tell me about books that you have read, if you say you have an interest in something, I would expect you to have read about it or gone on the YouTube or watch documentaries, or, I would expect you to read about it because you say you have an interest. So it's kind of understanding your own interest. What are you interested in? And can you tell me more about your interest? That will be the first thing. The second thing is I can ask you some random questions and abstract questions. For example, I could be asking you, so if you would like to invite 3 people, dead or alive, to a dinner party, who would you invite and why? Why would you invite them, So again, you have to think about, okay, so who would be the 3 people I would like to invite? Why? Why would I like to invite those people? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just more about developing your answers, understanding, how you would articulate that. So those could be abstract questions. Sometimes the questions could also be more specific to your subject. So if you say to me, I have an interest in chemistry, so I might say, okay, so tell me a little bit about the atom. Tell me about, protons and neutrons, for example, because, if you say you have an interest in chemistry, then, so it's really down to what you say as an interest, and I want to know more about your interest. So if you are interested in something, read is very important. Reading, what I've been finding is a lot of children don't read enough. So they need to read. They must read, especially international students. It's very important that they read. It's very, very crucial. Continue reading. And, it's like having the video games, where you go on different levels. Reading is the same. You need to keep reading, increasing your level and sort of read more, really. That I think is very important. So that I would say, number 1, the first tip is reading. And not just reading to get into school like OIC. You read, again, remember, prepare 2 years in advance. Always think about, I want to be ahead of the game. So what can I do to make my application stronger? What can I do to make, as an individual, how can I become a better student, right? So the best way is reading. That's the first thing. And the second thing could be watching. So it could be watching, TED Talks. It could be listening to podcasts. There's so many facilities nowadays for online classes, online courses, free courses, to podcasts, to webinars, and so on. So watch those. And the third thing I would say is perhaps take part in work experience, internships, where it opens your mind to those different things. So you can talk about it in your interview as well. So I'm not only giving you tips for interview for OIC, but I'm just sort of giving you a taste of to prepare for interviews in general. Moving forward, they'll be applied to universities. They may have an interview. So how do you prepare for those? So it's reading, it's a work experience. It's watching podcasts, documentaries, listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, TED Talks, and so on. So elements of all these things, I would say, would help them with their interview. But reading is the most important thing. I would say start with reading.